I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening to the Amherst Town Board meeting of Monday, March 10th, 2025. We're going to begin this evening in memory of a few people who have passed away. First is Thomas Schratz, husband of Councilwoman and Deputy Supervisor Shelley Schratz, but also co-owner of Bing's Restaurant and tremendous member of our community with respect to a lot of different organizations, especially organizations surrounding the changes in the Eggertsville community, and certainly a loss, and our heart goes out to his family. The second is Mary Ellen Marlette, wife of past Deputy Supervisor Guy Marlette, involved in many of our area's arts and cultural programs, as well as volunteerism here in the town of Amherst. The third is past president of the Williamsville Business Association, and co-founder of the Glen Park Art Festival, a champion for small business, and a person who with whom I have had a long working relationship, Richard Rich, and Helen Pendolino. Mike, did you want to share?
Thank you, Supervisor. Helen was a longtime teacher in this community, a dedicated volunteer. Her husband, for some of you may remember, this board did a memoriam for him a short time ago. Also, the mother of a longtime civil servant man named Joe. We appreciate her service and sacrifice.
So all four members of our community, again, we dedicate this meeting in their memory, and hope that lessons can be learned from their volunteerism, and people will look at them as inspiration to get involved in the community in many of our offshoot organizations. With that said, I would ask everybody, please rise for a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that said, I would ask our town clerk to please call a roll.
Supervisor Coppa.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Lavin. Councilmember Berger.
Here.
Councilmember Zuccalla. And Councilmember Marinucci.
First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from Monday, February 3rd, 2025. I'll motion those as they appeared in our agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next item on the agenda is public expression with no public hearings this evening. Public expression is an opportunity to come forward, comment on matters involving the town of Amherst and those pertinent to any items on the subject matter of the day, or otherwise. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. I do have a couple of sign-in sheets up front already. I'm going to start with these, and we'll go from there. So first, I'm going to motion to open public expression.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'm going to invite Dan Gagliardo up.
Good evening, Supervisor Culpa, Town Board members. My name is Dan Gagliardo. I reside in Williamsville, and I'm running for Amherst Town Supervisor. I'd like to ask several questions regarding 1150 Eggert Road and 4110 North Bailey Road facilities that have been discussed at previous Town Board meetings. It is my understanding you generally answer questions at the end of public expression, so I'll provide you with a list of the questions at the end of my comments. Supervisor Culpa, you stated that the facility is my first set of questions are regarding 1350 Eggerts Road. Supervisor Culpa, you stated that the facility is a special purpose built structure. What exactly does that mean? The proposed 7,710 square foot structure has 2 offices, a gross motor room, a kitchen, team room, meeting room, and 2 classrooms. What does the new facility have that the North Bailey facility doesn't? After speaking with commercial real estate agents in Amherst, the typical square foot leasing cost is between $15 and $20 a square foot. Who negotiated a cost of $43 a square foot for 1350 Egerts Road facility? If the $43 square foot includes the build out for the structure, can you provide the worksheets that were used outlining the breakdown calculations for build out and leasing? At the December 6th, 2024 Town Board meeting, you stated that this project was being done for the residents of Eggertsville. If this is correct, why wasn't the Amherst Central School District involved in the discussions? They currently have an after-school program being operated by Just for Kids. It is our understanding that they were not aware of the project. My second set of questions are regarding 4110 North Bailey. At February 3rd Town Board meeting, you mentioned that the Eggertsville Youth and Community Center located at 4110 North Bailey had operating issues and that the Boys and Girls Club was not fit for that building. Is there documentation outlining the operating issues with the facility or proposals to repair, given that it was in operation for 11 years? If there were issues, was there any effort to correct them before signing the $1 a year lease with O'Connell and Company? Are the taxpayers aware they are paying for a significant portion of the maintenance for the O'Connell and Company usage at this facility? Are the taxpayers also aware that O'Connell and Company only uses the facility 6 months of the year? Can you tell me who negotiated this arrangement and lease? Have you had discussions or correspondence regarding other facilities such as Windmere Boulevard Elementary, Amherst Central School, and Harlem Road Center Community Center? Thank you for listening to the residents' concerns, for your response, and for the record, I'm submitting a list of questions. Thank you.
Mary Dormer.
Good evening, Supervisor Culpa, Town Board members. My name is Mary Dormer, and I reside in Gettsville, and I'm running for the Amherst Town Board. You've indicated that the $28,000 a month lease for the new community center at 1350 Eggert Road would be paid for by fees and grants. Can you please explain where the fees and grants are coming from? Where is the funding to remediate the chronic flooding problems that were of concern to the Crosby Boulevard residents? Doesn't it make sense that this issue will be exacerbated by a new building on the current remaining green space at the top of the escarpment? And who will be responsible for this cost? Is there handicap access to the new building behind 1350 Eggert Road? Do you think children walking up 21 concrete steps on Crosby Boulevard is a viable option? Is there any concern about possible lawsuits? I'm wondering. On February 5th, 2024, the meeting agenda listed Resolution 2023-623, 1350 Eggert Road for rezoning for townhouse development. This consisted of 123 pages of supporting documents in the meeting packet for the public hearing. This resolution was adjourned and the public hearing occurred. We would like to know what happened between when the agenda was published on February 1st, 2024, and when the meeting actually took place on February 5th, 2024. The next time this issue arose was on December 16th, 2024, when you surprised the taxpayers with the announcement of an Amherst Youth Center on the same property. What transpired between February 5th, 2024 to December 16th, 2024 for the town and the developer to change the plans from townhouses to a youth center? The members of the town board were elected to represent the interests of the taxpayers. Do you really think this is being done for the betterment of the residents? Thank you for listening to your town's residents' concerns.
John Traber, 234 Mount Vernon Road. I am also running for the Amherst Town Council. May I present you with the formal questions that Mr. Gagliardo had asked you? Can I bring them to? That's just so you don't have to write everything down. I would like just to restate some of the more important questions that were previously asked regarding the proposed Eggert Road Community Center. Seeing that the taxpayers are paying a significant portion of the maintenance at 4110 Bailey Avenue, and that O'Connell and Company uses this facility 6 months out of the year, can you tell the taxpayers who negotiated the lease with O'Connell for the price of $1 per year? Is there documentation outlining the supposed issues that prevent this facility from being used as a community center, given that it previously had been operated as a Boys and Girls Club for 11 years? Were there any issues that were corrected prior to O'Connell and Company moving in? What will the new facility on Eggert Road have that 4110 Bailey Avenue does not or could not have? What took place between February 5th, 2024 and December 16th, 2024 for the town board and the developer to change the plans from townhouses to a youth center? If the Eggert Road Community Center is being done for the residents of Eggertsville, why wasn't the Amherst Central School District involved in any discussions? Where will the funding come from to remediate the chronic flooding problems that was a major concern to the Crosby Boulevard residents? Will the town incur these costs? The term special built structure was used for the Eggert Road project. What exactly does that mean? Who negotiated the cost of $43 a square foot for this new facility when the average cost per square foot in Amherst hovers around $20 a square foot? Can you please explain where the grants are coming from for the Eggert Road project, along with a proposed fee schedule to help pay for this youth center? A supposed major asset to the Eggert Road location is that it is adjacent to a playground. Will there be handicap access to this playground, seeing that children will have to go down a hill or navigate 21 concrete steps in order to get to the playground? Are you concerned about any liability with this? Thank you for listening.
Jerry DeCosmo.
Is there a slide? That's not the one. There we go. Good evening, Town Board members. My name is Jerry DeCosmo from Meyer Road. Supervisor Culpa, at the January 31st, 2025 State of the Town of Amherst address, you made a comment about a comparison in population between Amherst and Syracuse, saying, and I quote, "We're the fourth largest population in the state after Syracuse. This year, with a census estimate of 131,000 people, we're coming after you, Syracuse," end quote. You are correct, Supervisor Culpa. Amherst and Syracuse have things in common, even outside of the population, but of a more ominous nature, and that is the steadily increasing outstanding debt levels of our two municipalities. In 2022, Syracuse had a debt level of $203+ million, while Amherst debt was at $163+ million. In 2023, Syracuse added $28 million of debt for a total of $231+ million, with Amherst adding $33 million of debt for a total of $194.2 million. Your comment, Supervisor Culpa, referred to chasing their population level, but Amherst, under your administration, is also chasing their debt levels. Is this what our town should emulate and strive to compete for? The amount of debt? Is there another slide? That's it. Even if some of this debt has been retired, are the 2024 Town of Amherst debt figures at the $200 million mark yet? As the headline from the previous slide stated,
Increasing debt payments, lack of revenue control could create problems for, and you can insert the town of Amherst in that headline. This spending is out of control with poor revenue controls and poor fiscal responsibility. This begs the question, should we really be continuing this unchecked discretionary spending? No, is the obvious answer to that question. Thank you for your attention. Ms. Meredith.
Andrea Morganti.
Good evening, Supervisor Culpa and Town Board members. My name is Andrea Morganti, and I reside in the beautiful village of Gettsville. I am here as a representative of the grassroots community organization Amherst Concerned Citizens. Supervisor Culpa, you can take a break right now, take a drink of water, because this presentation is being directed to Deputy Supervisor Lavin. Deputy Supervisor Lavin, last year around December, we had a discussion that you would like to set up a committee to review the current town committees and advisory boards. You indicated, and justly so, some of these committees were no longer required and could be eliminated. In addition, some of these committees could be combined with other committees to provide a more efficient usage to benefit the residents of Amherst. Deputy Supervisor Lavin, I am aware that you are an extremely busy town board member, but I have sent you no less than 3 emails requesting an update on the committee being formed. To date, there has been no response. Would you please let the residents of Amherst know the status of this much-needed committee being formed? And in addition, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring to be a part of this integral part. Thank you.
Okay, Joe Voidovich.
Joe Wojtovich, 35 B. Cyrus. My talk tonight is about Royal Park, but I'm not addressing this to the town board. I'm addressing all of this to the residents. Town board, either they know about everything here or they don't care. Damon College applied for a grant back in 2020 to supply money for the sports center. In February 23, the Amherst approved the bond for $7.1 million to finance it, with the stipulation that Damon would put in there $2.3 million from the grant. Now, the one problem with the grant, it has not been fulfilled at this point. So Amherst is now stuck with that $2.3 million. If the grant does go through, they got 2 problems. They're violating state law on that. The state law requires that the colleges be in control of the 75% of the money to be used on the project. That's not the case. Amherst was in control of it. And even if the money was donated at this point from Amherst, it still would be violating the law, because the college is supposed to be the one that's paying the contractors, so the audits can go back to the college and assure that everything was paid according with the procedures. What do we do at this point? Either the county is going to try to eat the $2.3 million, or they're going to go legally violating state law on this. I'm sure we're not going to get an answer on this. It'll be up to the legal department of the state to talk about this later and who's going to be responsible. My last issue on this is with my FOIL request I put in 5 weeks ago for information on the financials on the Royal Park project. Still not been had any information on there. I'll assume that it's been denied. I'm not going to go by the 90-day period on this. The state law and the town law requires only 20 days. Because of that, I am going to be putting in a formal appeal process on this for the FOIL board, and I expect to get that soon. Thank you.
Danny Farrell.
Good evening, Supervisor Copeland, Town Board. My name is Danny Farrell. I reside on Park Haven Drive in the town of Amherst. I'm here tonight as a concerned resident of the town. First, I'd like to say that my concerns relate to the lease agreement with O'Connell and Company Theater Group in the town of Amherst. I want you to know that I am in no way discontented with O'Connell and Company. I think they're a great group of people and that the artistic director is a wonderful person. I only mention this particular lease because I believe, and is one of many that are questionable, it was brought to my attention and needs to be addressed. The lease was entered into on September 19, 2022. In it states that O'Connell and Company will provide a neighborhood arts program available to the residents. Also, they were supposed to create and provide a speaker series available at no cost to the residents of the town. And of this time, neither has come to fruition. I did reach out to O'Connell and Company for a response to these issues. And I did receive a reply to my inquiry from the artistic director, which stated, we are in the planning stages for the projects. My questions are, when will these programs be available to the residents, and when will they provide the complimentary tickets to the Amherst youth, senior, and underserved residents of the town as stated in the lease? Also, there has been a community performance, or there's supposed to be a community performance per quarter as mentioned in the lease agreement. I'm not sure about that either. As a resident, I'd like to know what the ramifications are of the terms of the lease which aren't met. Supervisor Colpa and any town board member may answer these questions. Again, I do want to reiterate, I have no complaints, animosity, or grudge against O'Connell and Company. I'm just a concerned resident who wants accountability from the town board and leases entered into with companies or individuals. One other item I'd like to address is the lease agreements between the town and companies or individuals. With the company I mentioned before, the lease agreement is for the company to pay the town $1 a year. That's $1 a year to lease the building or space for 10 years. They, in turn, agreed to specific stipulations as mentioned before, but also to repair or replace, do routine maintenance when needed, and things of that nature. Now, when a company or individual leases a building space or storefront in the private sector, they enter into a lease agreement for a specified amount of time and pays a monthly rental fee. In most cases, they are also obligated to do routine maintenance, make repairs, or other such custodial issues as indicated in the lease. Why is this allowed to happen? What do the residents gain by such lease agreements? I think it's a disservice to the taxpayers of the town when we're asked to pay high property taxes and these companies or individuals skate out and pay $1 a year. I have an idea. How about the property owners getting a sweetheart deal from the town and pay only $1 a year in property taxes for the next 10 years? That would certainly make my day. Thank you for your time.
Paul Francovello.
Paul Francavilla, Cimarron Drive. I'm here to talk about, I'm here to talk about the water line replacement. Apparently, it's going to be done in phases. How many phases are there? Why are there phases? Okay. First phase is going to go from Hopkins and Cimarron to Allran and Cimarron. Or Allran, yeah, Allran and Cimarron. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, back in 2011, 2012, there was a water main break on Cimarron Drive in front of one of my neighbor's house. I think it was around 160 Cimarron. The insurance company said that they had talked to the town of Amherst, and the town had plans to replace the water lines on Cimarron Drive in 2015. This is 2025. Those lines have not been replaced. Okay, I can show you the letter she got from the insurance company. All right. Next question. It's directed to Sean Levin. Sean, you said in your speech that you're going to work with the town and the businesses and the colleges
Okay, my question to you is, are they going to get sweetheart deals too, like Damon College got? $1 and we pay the rest of the bill? Just my question. Thank you.
Looks like either Kenny or Carrie Reynolds.
It's Carrie. Good evening. I am Carrie Reynolds, a constituent and a member of Showing Up for Racial Justice, or SURGE. And I come as a representative of both our local chapter and the national organization. SURGE is the largest organization in the country mobilizing white communities for racial and economic justice. Our organization has created a pledge that we are asking community leaders across the country to sign as an act of solidarity against the Trump administration's illegal actions. I sent emails and I made phone calls, and I did talk to Mr. McMahon about this pledge. So tonight we're coming to ask that you all will sign this pledge. Mark Polenkar signed the pledge on Friday. This is a pledge to stand up against the harmful executive orders and policies that threaten the safety and well-being of immigrants, trans folks, and working families to begin with, but ultimately threaten all of us. As leaders and public servants, your support would send a powerful message to the people you serve. We want to know that you're committed to standing on the side of justice, safety, and human rights, regardless of the challenges ahead. As a constituent, I was very impressed by the position you took in September 2023 when confronted by some anti-immigrant partisans. Witnessing your deft and clear-headed handling of that potentially volatile situation convinced me that you are people of principle. Obviously, so much more needs to be done. Fighting the SAVE Act, the GOP proposed budget, the wanton dismantling of federal government from USAID to the IRS to the VA, NIH, Social Security, and even the national parks. Throwing government into chaos, defunding programs, threatening anyone who receives federal funding, limiting, threatening, and punishing the press. These are harbingers of an autocratic regime. We would like to be assured that the council is doing everything in your power to prevent our country from descending into autocracy. Standing by the side of folks who are demonstrating, persistently speaking up in public and behind closed doors. Surely some Republicans can be made to see the dangers of allowing Musk to wreak havoc on our government, illegally firing government servants, many of whom are veterans. We at SURGE believe in relational organizing and hope that you will use these principles to reach out to publicans who may be swayed. Thanks again for listening to us. I have several ways you can sign the pledge. I have paper, I have a poster, and we also have a website, protectandresist.com. And I just would give you the paper.
Thank you. And just as a brief reminder, no political signage of any kind can be had at government meetings. Thank you.
Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Janice Tennant, and I live in the town of Tonawanda. And I'm building on what Carrie Reynolds, part of our organization, was talking about. As she said, we have created a pledge that we are asking community leaders across the country to sign as an act of solidarity against the Trump administration's illegal and immoral actions. We have had over 40 politicians from New York City to New Orleans, Pennsylvania, and Ohio on the West Coast that have signed. These are mayors, town council people, state representatives, and Board of Education members. We are hoping that the council members will sign as well. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my own personal journey, why I'm in Showing Up for Racial Justice, and why it matters to me. My daughter is a lesbian, and she is married to a beautiful woman, and they have adopted 4 black sons a few years prior. and I love them very much, and I am so scared for them. I am scared because the current regime that we are dealing with is racist and does not believe in racial justice, and that everyone, no matter their color or their station in life, deserves a quality life. That is why I'm driven. I've been a member of Surge Buffalo chapter for 10 years now, and continuing, and my passion for the work we are doing with the people has not subsided. I'm also involved in the Surge National Group for the 2024 elections, and I'm glad that we are continuing to fight for racial, class, and economic justice at the national level, as does our own Buffalo chapter. I participate in phone banks and canvassing because I feel that talking and connecting with each other is how we win the world we all want to live in with all of our needs met. Thank you.
Gina Gentry.
Good evening, board. Gina Gentry from Amherst, New York. Long time no see. Nice to see all your beautiful faces. So I'm here, obviously, at the beginning of the new year, well, a little bit in, to hopefully see that you guys have made resolutions to make a better board, to make a better time for Amherst, to actually commit to doing what the board is supposed to do. I've been disappointed, though, from hearing from friends and seeing even tonight what I've walked into, that it doesn't seem like anything has changed. This year is an election year, and I feel that Amherst needs a change. There are many people that are running on both sides of the aisle, but at the same time, we have to remember as Amherst Town residents that the board is not here for hot topic issues. You are here to create and make Amherst the beautiful, safe, an amazing place that it once was to live, where people could afford. Whether Democrat, Republican, conservative, I hate those terms, like those letters next to the name for board, because really it is about fiscal management. You are not gonna legislate on transgender rights. You're not gonna legislate on illegal immigrants unless if you're bringing them into the town, which that's another question. You're not gonna legislate on certain things that divide those political parties. You are here to to make sure that the services and the needs of the town are met. And I'm sorry, but you have failed. And I think that if you look close enough, you know that you have failed. And coming up under and working and not listening to the residents, I'm sorry, you have to make a change somewhere. And if that means that a couple seats need to change, I ask the residents to really look at the board, really look at the people that are running. This is about our money. This is about our town. You're still doing consent agenda things where you know what's supposed to be on a consent agenda, and it's not supposed to be for debatable things. You're supposed to bring that before the town residents. There are still contracts that are right now out of their term. You need to start listening to us, and it needs to start now, because November's coming, and I'm sorry, Sean Lavin, but it's not looking good. Thank you.
Jane Cox.
Jane Cox, Harlem Road. You got a good turnout tonight. You've got a lot of questions. My question is about the Amherst Central Park and the time schedule for this year. If the supervisor could perhaps explain during his responses what exactly the town hopes to accomplish this year, and when will the public actually be able to get into the park? When will it be in shape enough that people can use the park rather than the car dealers using it? You know, what projects will be finished this year, And, you know, how long are they going to take? There's a lot of people that have a lot of questions. They're looking for information tonight. So hopefully they'll be able to get some answers. I just want to remind people that this is not a political forum. This is a town board meeting. And I realize there's a lot of people that are campaigning, but they shouldn't be doing it inside the building here. You have to find another method to get your voice out. Thank you.
Matt Plunkett.
Matt Plunkett, North Hill Drive. I'm the second one tonight to actually direct my comments more to Deputy Supervisor Lavin than to anyone else. I went back and I read your announcement speech, and it was in the Buffalo News a few weeks back. And I was struck by a couple of things. One of them was your comment about how when you were in North Carolina responding to the hurricane last year, you learned and saw how municipal governments should respond in situations. What have you been doing here for the last 7 years? You went on to say that it's easy to criticize, but anyone seeking office needs to offer solutions to problems. There are people in here every meeting offering solutions to problems. You people just don't listen to them. I mean, come on, let's not be disingenuous about the stuff. People are here all the time with solutions to problems. You talked about the investment in Westwood, a park which the town paid 4 times the market value for, I believe. And the clerk, could you put up, I handed in a thing, okay. You see that sign up there? That's the sign at Amherst Central Park. You see what it says? It says, "Welcome to Amherst Central Park." Oh, no, wait, it says private property, no trespassing. How in the name of God, and I'm sorry, Councilman Berger, don't blow your top, how in the name of God can you call that a public park when there's a private property, no trespassing sign there? That's not a public park. You know, Mr. Lavin, you said in the article, you said you have a different vision of Amherst Central Park than the supervisor. You're on this board. You can submit resolutions. Submit a resolution to for the next meeting to do what you say you want to do. Tear down the fence, open the park to the people, put it out for public discussion instead of everybody sitting there and hiding. For once in your life, try and do your job, for heaven's sakes. Yeah, and you know, the people from Surge, I'm happy to hear that Mark Polenkar signed your pledge. I want to make sure we're talking about the same Mark Polenkars. Is that the one who went on TV after the 2022 Christmas blizzard and as the body count continued to rise and tried to blame all the failures on the black guy in City Hall? I just want to make sure we're talking about the same Mark Polenkars.
Tom.
Good evening, the town board members. My name is Thomas Frank, and I reside at 5403 Main Street. And I want to thank you for giving me 3 minutes to talk about the Glen Park. Well, it's regarding the planning resolution 2025 264, the cooperation agreement with the Village of Williamsville, CRS 5336. That this is an opportunity of having to do with the Glen Park Joint Board as far as a $10 million intermunicipal cooperation agreement for the town of Amherst Central Park Greenway development project for 2025 through 2030. And what's interesting is in this week's program, you got 34 resolutions in there that are dealing with various forms of water problems in the town of Amherst. 34 of them. As far as the infrastructure, the water lines, the sewer lines, the highway storm sewers, and what's interesting, I want you to know that someone from the board should go to the New York State Parks, Trails, and Historic Preservation, the Greenway Summit meeting at Buffalo State on March 28th. That it's very important. This is a part of, as far as the Ellicott Creek is the lifeblood of the village of Williamsville and the town of Amherst. And as far as the Ellicott Creek is a tributary of the Tonawanda Creek, that's the Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor, but it's also a part of the Niagara River Greenway, the 2050 relicensing settlement, the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the relicensing of the Niagara Power Project, and that the Greenway, the Niagara River Greenway, as far as it goes from the Niagara escarpment to the Onondaga escarpment where you're sitting.
Thank you, Tom.
I still have another 25 seconds.
Does he?
But I lost my
Is that
thought
the first
train.
or the second? I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead. I'm not listening to the bells correctly tonight.
As far as the Amherst Central Park Greenway, the Westwood Pharmaceutical Country Club is a part of this, the Amherst State Park. They're all interconnected. And what was interesting at the working session was the disability people. Oh, you want me to get lost? But it's a collaboration. You're welcome.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. I've got to go to the village board meeting. I'll tell them you said hello.
Okay, thank you. We'll send our liaison. Okay, anybody else?
Got to wear glasses now. Good evening, Chris Rangaski, Mill Street, Williamsville, New York. I just want to, there's a rumor going around that I'm running for Amherst Town Supervisor. That's not true. I am running for Amherst Town Board. And I am bringing the common sense, no nonsense campaign for a seat on the Amherst Town Board. I want to thank my business partners, community leaders, and financial supporters, and most importantly, my fellow residents for believing in me and my vision and plan for taking back our town.
Mr. Drunkowski, please, we can't have a political speech here. Feel free to direct your comments to the board, but
Okay.
we've got to draw the line
Well,
somewhere.
I will do everything possible to make Amherst once again the envy of Western New York and the greatest town in America to live, work, and play as it was when I was growing up in Snyder. Now, I was out there collecting petitions over the weekend in Snyder, and many residents invited me into their homes and had great conversations. And one of the concerns that I told them that I would bring up at tonight's meeting was the sewer situation on Bernhardt. Many of the residents are having to put new lines from their house to the sanitation sewer. They're replacing them, and they're still not working. And the concern is that the town sewers are not functioning, and that's why the new lines are not functioning. I'd like to get an answer or who I can talk with and find out what's going on, because this is just not one or two or three homes. There was about 15 homes on the north side, on the north end of Bernhardt. Many of the seniors I talked with, the taxes, the reassessment, the school taxes. I had one woman who was in tears. I'm not going to be able to afford to stay in my house much longer. Pretty sad. Harlem Road Community Center. Actually, one woman remembered me from 1988 when we lobbied the town to purchase that building. Actually, believe it or not, she remembered. There was people trying to make that a top supermarket.
good thing that didn't happen. But we brought up the splash pads in conjunction with the Square building and doing a land swap for the southeast corner of Westwood. And all the residents love the idea of putting a splash pad at the Harlem Borough Community Center. Matter of fact, not only did they love it, but they said their kids would love to go there. I'm not a big advocate of splash pads, but I got to tell you, that would be the perfect location in this town to put a splash pad, and it would be heavily utilized. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Ray Herman, 114 Oak Grove. I am not a candidate for Amherst Town Board. I wanted to comment on the O'Connell lease for $1. I am the treasurer of Opera Lights, which is a local community theater group. We rehearse in Amherst Community Church, and we put on 2 productions a year. And it's standard practice that you pay rental for a theater venue as a private company. We're a nonprofit, but we always have to pay rental. So it's kind of unheard of to pay $1 a year for a whole facility for a whole year. That is just unheard of. And I can say that we have put on a couple of productions at the community center on Harlem Road, and we had to pay a daily fee. There's a standard fee that the town charges, and it should, to use the auditorium and even the various classrooms that you can rent to rehearse in or store things in. So there's a standard rental policy by the town, and I would just submit that it should be applied to O'Connell and Company, who I support all theater, and I think they do excellent shows. I've seen a number of their shows, and they do a great job. But it's just, I think that the town might be opening itself up to some legal liability, because this, to me, looks like almost like a gift. And the things that they've agreed to do, like a community performance and stuff, I can tell you any theater company is going to do those, because that's how you get grants. And because grants are how tickets never pay for the cost of theater. It's always a combination of grants, donations, various sources. So I would just ask the town board to look at that lease again, because I think it's a real issue. You know, I wouldn't ask as a treasurer of my theater company that we get $1 a year for a free facility. I wouldn't even think to ask that. But so I just asked the town to look at that. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Bob Dirtle, 92 Chateau Terrace. As it appears that quite a bit of federal funding is going to be lost, not only to Amherst, but to New York State and Erie County. Could you please enlighten us as to how much funding we stand to lose? You know, considering the fact that Amherst is over $200 million in debt, how concerned should the citizens of Amherst be about this? Will the town be providing a possible list of cuts so that citizens can contact their representatives? You already had one 11.5% tax increase. Should we be prepared for another?
Need to sign. Shelley Schratz, Amherst. First of all, I want to thank you for recognizing my husband, Tom. He was an amazing guy. I'm not going to cry. I've been crying for a frickin' month. But what I learned at Tom's wake, over almost 700 people attended, was the things that they said to me, and I listened to each one of them. And it's about integrity. It's about honesty. It's about telling the truth, right? It's about doing your job and letting the people that you work for, your clients, your customers, they're first. I think the board could do a better job. The other thing I want to say, I wasn't going to say this, having a child who is a grown man and he's a miracle, they said he would never walk, talk, or live till 5, okay? People with disabilities deserve respect. They don't deserve being walked out of a building or told to be quiet or what you say doesn't matter. They are here because they are a gift from God, okay? And that needs to change. The smirks, the laughs, we are who we are. And God forbid, no one has a stroke up here, ever, or over here. Because guess what? You become the person with disabilities. The other thing is we have a disability committee that needs to be addressed immediately and not with friends and who you think might be the best. You need to look at what they know about it and what they've done volunteering so that they can make that difference. The other thing that I want to bring up is Bailey Avenue. My family, myself, this town, many organizations, Windermere, churches, we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to build that facility. And we picked that out of 5, 6 different buildings, and it took years. Dan Ward knows, Matt was there. It took a long time. And they chose the church not because it was a big fancy parcel. It was because we figured it would be the best building to go in, where it has the best vibe for the people that needed it the most. The people from that part of town of Eggertsville, who are always neglected. And where we built a kitchen. We built a gym, the Boys and Girls Club. We built a thing for the seniors, but then they were told they couldn't go. It was all about the people of the residents in the communities. You're taking that away. The fact that musical fair is there, that's one thing. Or not musical fair, that's gone. O'Connell and Company. Mary Kay, she helped raise that $100,000 that we raised to do that. And Boys and Girls Club couldn't afford it. Whatever, you couldn't fix it. But we can fix private things and do things for other groups, but not the people that need it in those neighborhoods. I'm going to ask you to rethink that. Because I know there are many people that helped. They want to see all their money back so they can help the Windermere students and all of those things. Lease for $1. And then why don't you reach out to that group? And the other thing is, why the word consent means agreement, doesn't it? It means, so, okay, we come up with the consent. We agree. You have consent agendas. But Cheektowaga is actually calling their residents and saying, come to a meeting and let's hear what you think. And I think, and I haven't been here and I promise I won't come back for a while. My point is, I think it's time you start meeting with the residents, not here. Do like we did with Harlem, Kensington, 25,000 people in a community, and we together fought through it while the politicians, the elected officials, did their job and listened. Okay? Thank you.
I am going to go through. Oh, sorry, Don.
Don Smith, North Lawn. Originally, I wasn't going to say anything. And frankly, the people said everything they wanted to say to you, and you've heard everything they said to you. So there's nothing I can say that's going to help elucidate anything that's in your minds. Even if I were to agree with everything they say, and I don't really, I agree with a lot of it, some of it I don't. But they deserve an answer. They deserve your attention. And if you consider yourself to be their representatives, you have a responsibility to do that. At this point, you can't just sit there. It doesn't look good. It doesn't help solve anything. And a good faith effort is needed to solve some of these problems. If you don't feel a little bit of pain and questioning in your responses, then you're not asking yourself the right questions. These are your constituents. These are your representatives. These are the people that care. So can you match them on caring? Is that possible? Thank you for listening to me.
I'm going to motion to close public expression.
Second.
All in favor? Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I'm going to ask the town clerk to please read tonight's consent agenda.
Supervisor Copa, 1. Councilmember Zucala, 1. Town Attorney, 7 through 24. Town Clerk, 1, 2. Assessor, 1. Building, 1. 2 was withdrawn, 3, 4. Controller, 1, 2. Contract Compliance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Court, 1, 2. Engineering, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Highway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Human Resources, 1 through 22. 23 was withdrawn, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Information Technology, 1. Planning, 1, 2. Police, 1, 2, 3. Sewer Plant, 16, 1 through 9. Youth and Rec, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Under Communication, the first one was consent. 2 through 12 were all referred to attorney. Public improvement permits, 1 through 7 were on consent. Thank you.
A motion to adopt the consent agenda.
On the question quickly, Supervisor, I'd just like to note that Resolution 225-185 sets the public hearing for March 24th for that Cimarron Drive water project. There will be a presentation at the start of that public hearing as there normally is. So some of those questions may be answered at that time in response to the question we received today.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 179, bond resolution for town road pavement improvements. It's a bond resolution in the amount of $1,110,000. I'm going to first motion to adopt the seeker findings associated with the project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'm going to motion the the bond resolution as it appears.
Second.
On the question, I'd ask a town clerk for a voice vote, please.
Supervisor Copa?
Yes.
Deputy Supervisor Lavin?
Yes.
Councilmember Berger?
Yes.
Councilmember Zucala?
Yes.
And Councilmember Marinucci?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution 180. It's a reconstruction of Burroughs Drive. It's a bond resolution in the amount of $500,000. I'm going to first motion to adopt the seeker findings associated with the project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'm going to motion the bond resolution as it appears.
Second.
And I will ask the town clerk for a voice vote, please.
Supervisor Copa?
Yes.
Deputy Supervisor Lavin?
Yes.
Councilmember Berger?
Yes.
Councilmember Zucala?
Yes.
And Councilmember Marinucci?
Yes.
Next item is Resolution 181. It's a Paradise Park restroom improvement project. It's a bond resolution in the amount of $305,000, which is a match to a grant. I'm going to motion the first to adopt the seeker findings associated with the project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'm going to motion the the bond resolution as it appeared.
Second.
On the question, I'd ask the town clerk for a voice vote, please.
Supervisor Copa?
Yes.
Deputy Supervisor Lavin?
Yes.
Councilmember Berger?
Yes.
Councilmember Zucala?
Yes.
And Councilmember Marinucci?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution 182, which is a bond resolution for senior center capital improvements at the senior center in the amount of $435,000. I'm going to first motion to adopt the seeker findings associated with the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'm going to motion the bond resolution as it appears.
Second.
And I would ask our town clerk for a voice vote, please.
Supervisor Copa?
Yes.
Deputy Supervisor Lavin?
Yes.
Councilmember Berger?
Yes.
Councilmember Zucala?
Yes.
And Councilmember Marinucci?
Yes.
Next item is Resolution 183. It's the town parking lot improvements bond resolution in the amount of $65,000. I'm going to motion seeker findings associated with the project first.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next, I'll motion the bond resolution as it appeared.
Second.
And on the question, I would ask our town clerk for a voice vote, please.
Supervisor Copa?
Yes. Yes.
Deputy Supervisor Lavin.
Yes.
Councilmember Berger.
Yes.
Councilmember Zucala.
Yes.
Councilmember Marinucci.
Yes.
And the last item here, Resolution 184, which is the North French Soccer Complex concession restroom improvement. It's a bond resolution in the amount of $53,000, which matches a grant and a private sector contribution. I'm going to motion the bond resolution as it appears. Well, first I'm going to motion the seeker findings associated with the project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'll motion the bond resolution as it appears.
Second.
And I would ask our town clerk for a voice vote, please.
Supervisor Culpa.
Yes.
Deputy Supervisor Lavin.
Yes.
Councilmember Berger.
Yes.
Councilmember Zucala.
Yes.
And Councilmember Marinucci.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is Resolution 199, settlement of an Article 7 matter between Uniland and ICC South Incorporated versus the town of Amherst, subject to a executive session discussion. I'm going to motion to adopt the settlement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on our agenda is the second round of public expression. I do thank the first couple of speakers for providing the questions regarding the Bailey Avenue and Eggertsville buildings in writing. I will be addressing all those questions at the end of public expression, but for now, I'm going to motion to reopen public expression.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chris Rangeski, Mill Street. Before you start my time, I'd like to. These are the financials for the last 4 years for the Audubon Golf Course Golf Program in the town of Amherst. Could I have the first slide, please? What I'm showing up here tonight is the profit that the golf course has generated the last 4 years. The first year is 2021, when the company was called Indigo Golf, which then was bought by Troon Golf. The profit in 2021 was $19,954. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but previously when the town operated the golf facilities, they were losing $300,000 to $600,000 a year. $300,000 to $600,000 a year. A lot of that was going in the front door and going out the back door, which was a very dark cloud over the town when there was a criminal investigation. That's in the past. There was a fee increase in 2021, a substantial fee increase. Improvements to the golf course were promised. 2022, there was a net profit of $249,472. Again, fee increases across the board. 2023, a profit of $209,337. Again, fee increases. 2024, as of October 31st, 2024, when the Buffalo News revealed that the town of Amherst has the highest rates for golf in all of Western New York, their profit was at $329,984. You subtract the expenses based on previous Novembers and December, it comes to approximately $300,000. And we got another fee increase across the board at our golf facilities. Next page, please. The town of Amherst in this golf contract. Now, I brought this golf course management company in. It took me 10 years to get them here. And I had 6 contracts from 6 other municipalities that this company had contracts with. There was no incentive contract in any one of those municipal contracts. It's counterproductive because the management company is more interested in the bottom line than doing the necessary improvements, which would affect their net operating income. So, and the town's got a contract with them, they get 20% of the net operating profit. 2021, $3,990. 2022, $43,500. That's their incentive. 2023, $41,780. 2024, $43,500. And they're the ones saying that we need to increase the fees, but the buck doesn't stop with them. It comes to the town board. They've been approving it. Next slide, please. So anybody can come up, and I've been very critical. This is like deja vu for me. I started this 26 years ago. I asked the town board when they had a dramatic increase in the fees at the golf course, can you show me a profit and loss statement, which I gave everybody, which came from the controller's office. We've never had that before. Now, I don't know if you've got my next.
Okay,
Should be in one
Chris,
more slide.
your time's up.
Time's up.
Well,
I appreciate you lightening the political commentary this round, though. Thank you.
alrighty. I will present a resolution for the next town board meeting. I will survey the various municipal golf courses. I call it let me get that slip so I don't mistakenly say something.
Okay, Chris,
The
thank you.
par for the Audubon Golf Course player affordability rates resolution.
Okay.
Thank you.
John Traver, Mount Vernon. When you were passing those consent agendas, I just have a question. There were two bonds. One was for 53,000 and another one was for 65,000. I'm just wondering, because I don't know, does it make sense to bond amounts that low with the town that has the assets that it has? I'm just wondering the reasoning for bonding two projects that low. And then also you mentioned there was a settlement from a lawsuit. Could you describe what that lawsuit was for the people, please, and what our settlement payment was? Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Karen Howard, 194 Roycroft. I just have one simple question. On the consent agenda, there's a resolution 2025-177 to amend the adopted 2025 to 2030 capital improvement program. And I just wondered if you could summarize for us what that was. I know we previously approved the capital improvement program, so what's the amendment now? Thank you.
Gina Gentry. So you were throwing a lot of money out there earlier, and I'm just hoping that everything's budgeted correctly so that there isn't an increase in our taxes. If this was in the previous budget that's rolled over, that's great. But I guess you could maybe answer a question, as some information has come to me about the lights. And speaking of budgeting, that we have run out of the funds to fix the lights for maintenance. So where is that money going to come from? So if you could answer that at the end, if that extra money is coming. I don't know why you're shaking your head, Jackie. This was a very legit source from the people that are the ones that are doing the maintenance on the lights. So if you could answer that question, that would be great.
Yes, I can answer that. Anything else before I get to some of these answers? Get a motion to close public expression.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'm gonna start with the sheet of questions regarding Bailey and Eggertsville and the buildings, and I'm gonna take these out of order just because it's easier to explain out of order. So the first question had to do with purpose built. So let me just start with when I took office, we had a couple of issues. During my period of transition with Dr. Weinstein, he expressed a little bit of concern over the Boys and Girls Club and their handling of the Bailey building. So Boys and Girls Club had exclusive use, which kept access to seniors and other community members out of the building, and they were failing to make utility payments and failing to make maintenance and upkeep. So we reviewed that with our youth and rec department. We reorganized our agreement with Boys and Girls Club to see if they could last in place in that area. They had several problems with regards to building security, still utility payments, still maintenance issues. And finally, we decided it just wasn't working out. The Bailey Avenue Center, while the Boys and Girls Clubs could just open it as a building, it doesn't actually meet the licensing requirements for our after school and summer camp programs, our child care programs. So we started to have a conversation with the school district back then, Superintendent Pinella, asking us about replacing the Boys and Girls Club with something where they could have busing, acknowledging that Harlem Road Community Center was an option for some of the school district, but relatively far away for Windermere. At the same time, the school district was signing on a group that was going to run some after-school programming out of the school building itself. That sent us on a search for building space that could serve as an appropriate licensed space. We then started a conversation with People's Incorporated, who had expressed some interest from moving out of the old Eggertsville Hose or the Museum on Disabilities. So we had a conversation, had a future purchase in mind with them conceptually. Ultimately, the new board and new administration for People's Incorporated decided to sell the facility to Sacred Heart. Probably a good move for Sacred Heart, but again, sent us scrambling for some space. So when we had that happen, in the meantime, we had also agreed to existing terms of lease with O'Connell and Company, which was posed a little bit of a stopgap measure. They had agreed to do maintenance items and agreed to keep up the building, and agreed to a series of community sessions and community items that were in that lease agreement. We did present that publicly back when we signed the lease agreement. And ultimately, the idea for that building, though, is not to have it just simply a theater company. The building, because of the kitchen that was built out, would serve well as a shelter. In our post-blizzard plan, we identified that building plus the building at 505 Sheridan as shelters that we would need inside those communities where we lacked other strategic shelters. The senior center was too far away. Eggertsville Hose doesn't have appropriate facilities to shelter people. But we also recognize that it would serve well as an auxiliary senior center, as our senior center and many of our senior programs are full. So the idea basically is to take it, turn it into a senior program, and simply have O'Connell and Company as a vendor to the senior center. So it'd be a senior center first, and then O'Connell and Company could do stuff with the senior center in both locations. That's the direction we're heading. Ultimately, that left us still in a need for an appropriate youth space. So yes, we had a rezoning application in front of us by Ellicott Development, and that was a residential rezoning. Ultimately, that is one of the few areas that we have both access to Echo Park and commercial space that could be developed new. So we began talking to Ellicott about the potential for building a building. Somebody referenced $20 per square foot. Most of that is for an existing structure. This is a new structure. And that new structure, along with some improvements that have to be made on site, took the dollar value up. Those resulted in the $43 per square foot cost. That includes design and build out of the facility. It also includes the purchase options that we have on the facility at the end. We then basically work towards a plan where we would basically be using fees from camp and after school programs that are new to the site to offset some of the cost while we pursue a 2025 CFA grant. Ultimately, our 2025 CFA grants will include a WQIP or GIGP grant or both, which we've been successful with in the Eggertsville community area before. That is meant to address flood concerns as the area of Main Street has very shallow bedrock, and the stormwater runoff from Main Street is surcharging veins in the bedrock and ultimately revealing itself later on in the form of a spring or in the form of a flood runoff near Echo Park. When we're doing that, the wall of Echo Park, which contains a set of stairs, is going to need to be rebuilt. And we need to provide access because we are always concerned about lawsuits. And that is the story on those two buildings. It's taken a lot of work to address a number of needs there. At the end of the day, we should have a secondary senior center capable of relieving the stress on our current senior center, also capable of serving the area as an emergency shelter, complete with its kitchen, which serves the senior center as a backup kitchen, as our kitchen has gone offline before. It also serves as, so that serves that role, and the new youth center should serve the community well. Amherst School District the superintendent has met with us several times over the past 5 years, including a meeting with me presenting all this to their administration and faculty retreat, where we talked about the changes at the Allenhurst and Princeton apartments and the community benefit agreement there, wanting to make sure that we improved outdoor recreational space for youth and provided a secondary source of after-school and summer childcare. Regarding Cimarron, replacement in phases, I'm not a water engineer. I don't know why the phasing is the way it is, but we have committed to the project. You can ask more questions of our engineers at the public hearing that's coming up. Regarding the 2015 plans, I wasn't here in 2015. Once we heard that Cimarron was in need, our board did schedule it as part of a capital improvement program. It is moving forward. That's where we're at with that. Regarding the Damon College value, because I've heard a lot about how they're paying $1 a year for Royal Park, they do have all of the maintenance and upkeep responsibility, and the town has yet to sell naming rights, and we have the naming rights for both the field as well as tennis courts and some of the other spaces. But we also have use of the space when Damon isn't in session. It will be leased just as we lease ice space at the ice center, same program. We have a number of users who are looking at the space for use, including Amherst Central, while they take their fields offline to do work. Regarding Central Park, in 2025, our plan is to build a fully accessible playground, to repave the front parking space, and to clear dead trees and open the front corner to the public once those projects are complete. Regarding the lateral replacement on Bernhardt, I don't know what the issues are regarding the street itself. We'll certainly ask our engineering department. They have probably televised those lines. We'll ask them to look at it again. Regarding the federal funding, our federal funding is limited to 2 grants that we currently have in hand. Both of those grants, I'm told, are secure. We'll see what happens with those. One of them is for a communications tower, for a dispatch facility. The other one is for some street road infrastructure. And then we have our community block grant and community development program that we're monitoring. We do have staff that gets partially paid out of federal funds. Ultimately, we'll see how that scenario plays out over the course of the next year. Regarding that really is going to be up to the Congress to decide, right? That's what the courts have said. So we'll see what congressional findings come out of what to do with block grants and community development. And that's all HUD controlled funding. Regarding maintenance funds for lights, the street lighting project is returning such savings right now that we're able to commit part of the savings to pay for future capital and part of the savings to pay for the light maintenance program moving forward. So that is fully funded and we absolutely can maintain our lights. No, I'm going to keep going and then everybody can add after. Regarding the capital improvement resolution tonight, the Burroughs Drive or the Burroughs project came in under budget thanks to the highway department, and we were able to redirect $53,000 from Burroughs to we're able to redirect that bond availability to the project at North French Soccer Complex to do design. Normally, you're right, Tom, we wouldn't bond anything less than 75. We do bond parking regularly because it maintains all of our buildings and sometimes it fluctuates higher or lower. But regarding the Burroughs shift gave us an opportunity to do design, and with the design, we have the ability to have the Green Organization, who's building apartments on Millersport, build our restroom facility. Regarding the Disability Committee gave a presentation earlier today at work session. They've done a wonderful job. They're an extremely qualified group. I think I already covered Bailey. And regarding the golf committee, we do have a golf committee. It includes members of some of the leagues and some residents. They do talk about fees. They talk about the direction that the company that runs the golf course maintains and the direction they go, which, Chris, I will acknowledge you helped found and brought them to us as a good idea in terms of companies that we should send an RFP to. They have done a good job of running the course, and I will leave it at that. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to motion to it.
Wanted to clarify on the streetlights. The money for repairs is authorized as a group at a time. The company gets authorization for $10,000 or whatever amount. When that money is up, they come back and ask for more. So if you spoke to somebody, they may have told you they were out of money, but that may have been that authorization. That's all. There's plenty of money.
Okay, with that, I'm going to motion to adjourn the board meeting.
I wanted to answer Mr. Trabert's question about the lawsuit. It was just an Article 7 property tax challenge. I'm happy to talk to you after the meeting and give you some more details, okay? Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to motion to adjourn the board meeting. Other people are all seconds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.